Welcome to episode 3 of the Big Little Podcast, season 1. Today I'm going to talk about the Sunset Park RV, and there's a lot to talk about with it. They have 2 different lines, but for a little bit I'm going to talk about a modern retro. You've seen the modern retro in the Gulfstream Vintage. I believe the Shasta did a vintage remake, and Cerro Scotty was rebuilt for several years as well. So I think there is a large part out there for a vintage trailer. This happens to be one of those. When I talk about Sunset Park RV, they actually have 2 different lines. One is a Sunray, and what the Sunray is, and I'll call it as I see it, it's a better teardrop. I know a lot of people can look at a R-Pod, a New Camp, a Little Guy Max, and see a teardrop, but a true teardrop to me is much smaller than those. When you look at the line that they do make in the Sunrays, you have one called a 109 that is basically identical to the old teardrops, with the exception of you have more headroom. I've camped in teardrops, I have teardrops, so there is a place for them out there, but I will tell you it does take a special person to camp in a teardrop. I have one customer, one of my earlier ones, Ruth and Gerald, have a Little Guy 5 wide, and they've had that thing all across the country. For them, it's the right camper. Let me get back to Sunset Park. They are not only Amish built, they are Amish owned. They're a small company that's small enough to listen when you talk to them. They are innovators. Their slogan is trust the build. And with Sunset Park, you get a superior build. The roofs are fully walkable on them. They have a lot of nice features. Sometimes the features can be a little daunting, but let me stay with the Sunray for a couple more minutes. The Sunrays, beside the 109, which is a true teardrop, have several variations of that. When I say variations of it, they have one with a rear kitchen. They have one with a side kitchen. They also have one that has a built-in toilet. Out of all of their line, in the teardrop, the 129 is my favorite. I could see myself camping in a 129. It's just comfortable. When you go up from the 109, now you're able to walk in and stand up in the front of them. I'm also very big on what I call van and SUV friendly campers, which means most of those have a 3,500 pound rating. The biggest one in the Sunray line is a 149, and I do have a couple on the lot, and they will pop up in the footage here. The 149, once you get on the inside, you are almost looking at the layout of a Cerro Scotty. When you get to these small campers, there is so much you can do with limited floor space. The exciting part about it to me, the thing only weighs about 2,500 pounds. But you have a bed in the back, you have a full kitchen, you have a bathroom and shower. It is a wet bath, which isn't my favorite, but it's one of those, it's a better than nothing kind of thing. So as we talk about it, it's one I could really see myself in, and it's just a comfortable camper. Now let me get into where I start confusing everyone, because I am confused with some of this myself. There are so many color choices with Sunset Park. When I say color choices, you have a primary metal, which is either white or gray, and then secondary colors, you have light blue, you have dark blue, you have red, you have yellow, and you have orange. This is on the smaller side. When we get into the other lines, some of the color choices are limited because they use a longer piece of metal. Now, if you're not confused enough with that, you can also reverse the colors, meaning where what primary white was or primary gray, you could make that a blue, a red, a yellow, an orange. So you're only limited by your imagination. As you reverse colors, there is a fee to do that, but if you want a solid red camper with a black line, they're happy to do that for you. One of the things, and I've talked in another episode, they have forced options. What's a forced option? A forced option is where they make you take it. And with these lines, you have a confidence package and a comfort package that are forced options. What does that mean to you? Well, all the stuff you would normally spec is included. Your air conditioner, your refrigerator, your heater, all the standard things. And they also go as far as to include a 100-watt solar system on the roof. So there is a lot that they do right that's in those forced options, but a forced option is a standard. If you're not confused enough, then you have the options. Do I want a regular axle? Do I want a raised axle? Only your imagination can limit what you can pick and choose, and the ability to personalize it goes a long way in my mind. Now, when you get to what are some of the things that are truly options, they use a 6-sided foil tape as an option. I highly recommend it. Can't tell you how I'm impressed. If I have 2 campers on the lot and it's 90 degrees, you walk in one with the foil tape, one without, you will feel a noticeable cooler. They have other things like a fantastic fan. In my opinion, every camper should have a fantastic fan. Some of the packaging includes a solid step, other places it's an option. And one of the things that I do like, you can get your gas and hot water heater both in electric and propane. That, again, I can't tell you how nice that is. I have been very impressed since I've been dealing with Sunset. I think their quality is top notch. I go back to their slogan, trust the build. It is a stick and tin construction. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. All the wood in it is set at 16 centers, which for a small camper is pretty incredible. The roof is fully walkable. I went through and reviewed, and the internet is your friend. There's a lot of good videos. You can go watch the manufacturer build them, go to a question and answer from the owners. As I was going through again the walkthrough online, I noticed their roof system appears very similar to Starcraft's Magnum roof, but on a smaller scale. But the main take is it's fully walkable. And as my rep Damon said, hey Damon, it's fully walkable, but they don't encourage you to take 8 of your friends in a NASCAR race and sit up there all day. Yeah, that kind of goes to common sense too. So let's go back to this company and their products. I talked a little bit about the Sunray line. Now I'm going to go to the Sunlight. What you have behind me here is a Sunlight 16 bunkhouse. The bunkhouse is in several of the other models, but I've got to also tell you, the bunkhouse is rated for 150 pounds. And it also looks like about 1.5 feet clearance, if that. So if you have a grandchild, a small child, you're good, but a regular adult my size would not fit up there. Even if you don't use it as a bunk though, if you're a hunter or fisherman, that folds down, you can put up their guns, you can put up their fishing poles, and have a place to store some longer items. When I look at the 16 behind me, and as you get into the Sunlights, they have 6 different models. 3 of them are single axle, and I'm going to mostly talk about those. This rear bunkhouse behind me, or rear door, has a double awning. Just a nice feature. If you want an extra bit of shade, you have your front and back. On the inside, all the bathrooms in the Sunlights are separate shower and toilets, and that goes a long way. When I look at their other 2 models in the 18, you have the 116, you have 2 18s. You have an 18 that's also a rear door that is a Queen Island bed, and that is such a popular option. I know we're all different in how we like to camp. I don't have a Queen Island bed, but one day I would like to. With your side bed, between my wife and I, one of us plays a spider monkey and has to crawl over the other if you're on the inside. The Queen Island bed, you could walk around either way. What are some of the drawbacks? Well, when you add that extra 2 feet, you're adding some weight. If you would take the 16 and the 18, they're identical except the extra 2 foot is used in that Queen Island bed. Every one we spec, we personally spec, and we do try to mix up what we have on the lot. You'll notice some of the axles seem a little lower, and some of them are higher off-road axles. Again, with Sunset, you have a lot of options. I've also been to their website, recommend going there to look at it. And again, you can tell a lot by a manufacturer by the website. But what you can tell most about a Sunset Park is the quality. They are a quality camper. I would be very comfortable to be out in one. I think the world of them. Let's go back to that metal thing. When you're in the 18-foot, you are limited to your metal choices. You have white, and you have gray, and you have black, and that's it. So however you want to mix those colors up when you get to the longer ones, and the reason for that, the metal is not produced in single sheets that long. And I think in their mind, they didn't want to start piecemealing up metal to make it look a little fugly. So that's the only drawback with some of their longer ones. I also want to talk about my experience between the primary metals of white and gray. I will always put gray in here because I think gray looks better and shows less black streaks. This industry still has, and not just Sunset, but all of them, where you'll get black streaks on your camper and they do need to be cleaned and maintained. Let me also talk about the roof. They use a PVC roof. The PVC roof in essence is a plastic, sort of like an ABS kind of material. All the manufacturers are going to them. They're a lower maintenance, but you still have to get up there and check anywhere that has a seal, and you still have to clean them. I can't tell you how many times we have a camper come in here that looks like it was stored in the woods for 3 years. That little bit of time and effort to clean it will go a long way in protecting your investment. One of the other things I'm glad they don't do at Sunset, they don't do the white and black checkered flooring. We used to have that in another line. That is incredibly easy to stain, doesn't take much to scuff, but they use a good quality flooring with Sunset. I never understood why they would put, not Sunset, but the other manufacturer that had the checkered flooring when they know that would happen to it. Back to interiors very shortly with Sunset, you have your naughty pine or you have your modern gray. So if you like the outside and you want to tone it down and stay gray and white, you can have a light gray interior. Interior options for sofas, red, blue, and gray. Let me close this episode with a tech minute. Bear in mind, I'm not a technician, but I've been doing this a long time. One of the things that are very overlooked with our campers is the safety. At least once of the year when you begin to take it out, always check your fire extinguisher has a charge and appears workable. Change your battery in your smoke detector. And the one that kind of threw me, your carbon monoxide detector, which is the one on the ground, it has a lifespan. How can you tell what that lifespan is? According to the manufacturer, that's 5 to 7 years. But if you unscrew it and pull it out, there's a date on the back of it that will tell you when that's built. Now, up until recently, I didn't think they had a lifespan, and I'm glad I'm getting a little smarter with what we do. So today's tech tip, make sure to check all your safety gear. Your fire extinguisher, your smoke detector, and your carbon monoxide detector. And if that CO2 detector is out over 7 years, small investment to change it for your safety. Thank you for watching the Big Little Podcast. I'll see you in episode 4.